How's it going? Right on. Welcome to the Neighborhood Bike Shop. On today's issue, I am going to be doing a tune-up on my buddy Alan's single speed. It's just going to be real simple. I'm going to go through, clean the bike, look for obvious things that are messed up that need to be adjusted or fixed. Straighten the wheels, check the spoke tension, make sure that the hubs are rolling good and smooth. Clean everything up, put it back together, make sure that the bottom bracket is doing what it needs to be done, that it's nice and clean. And there was some problems with the front chainring and the chainring bolts and the spider. The chainring was kind of moving around, and he wasn't sure whether he had rounded out something or in there. And when I checked it, it looked like it was just some loose bolts. So I'm going to take it apart, clean it, and then reassemble it. Maybe with some different chainring bolts, but just to make sure that it's tightened down appropriately and that it's hooked on the right way and that it lines up right. And then, well, pretty much just put it all back together, you know, clean, tight, working right. Cool. I'm going to do it. Okay, first thing I'm going to do is find out how true this wheel is. Looks pretty good. It's within about 1 millimeter, and I'm guessing that might be the seam of the rim. Oh, no, I can get rid of that. Okay, that's within 1 millimeter. I am good on that one. Front wheel's done. Now we do the rear wheel. Now, I see what's going on. This wheel's been a little bit asymmetrically dished, and for this level of tune-up, I'm not gonna completely move the entire rim over 1 millimeter. Oh yeah. That's a problem. Alan, this spoke needs to be replaced. This nipple is stripped, and I don't want to mess with it too much, and it's part of the cause of this rim being pulled that way. It looks like it's been tightened so much. I'll see if I can get around it by doing some other things, but yeah, not super good. Sorry to say, bro. Interesting. We have been making micro adjustments that have been straightening this rim out back to where it needs to be. Like it's got a memory of where it wants to be. And by adjusting just a couple things, it's kind of pushing its way back to that shape, which is very, very true. Like it's within a millimeter of run right now. At least by my old man eyes. So. Is that the stripped one? Yeah, and there's that stripped one. Oh, tight. That'll do it. Rear wheel done. Rock and roll. Well, the next step is take these pedals off, because we're going to take these cranks off. If I can get the right size on it. And my right positioning for leverage. Sweet. When Alan brought this over here, I saw these pedals and I've got a perfect replacement for that in red. So I might surprise him and swap them out for some new red ones. Are those sitting right here? Oh yeah, they are sitting right here. Check them out. Pretty cool, huh? I think those will look good on there. Oh yeah, like that. So it would swap out this piece for that piece. So it would be like blue and red. Yeah, like that. Sorry, my bad. I think that'll look cool. He's got red accents in other places on his bike, and he even said he thought it might look cool, so if he doesn't like it, we can always take them off. Backwards. Nice. Almost. Trying to catch it. Okay, now let's get those crank fastening bolts undone. Are you a bolt? Bolt, how you're a bolt. Fine. Just because I happened to have the perfect tool for that. Geared up and ready to go. Like I said, one of my greatest purchases ever was this ratcheting part tool. It is a CCW4, part tool CCW4. I do not believe they make them anymore, but it's got this thin wall ratchet on it. And it's makes so you can get into clear spaces like that. Just like that, should I say. Oh no. Oh. Dose. Now, get them cranks off of there. Get my crank puller tool out. There's a little, that's big. Gotcha. Gonna need my big wrench, or medium large. another great tool, a crank pulling tool. They have several different caps, like this cap on the end of here. You can take it off and replace it for different ends for different size clearances that you need. And oh, that's the wrong one. See, here's a good example. See how much bigger this cap is than this cap? And they're interchangeable. Like it's a part that comes off, so you can change it. I'm gonna swear that it's this one and find out if I'm wrong the hard way. The way I usually find out, and I don't like these having to be forced in. Like you should be able to hand twist that in. It shouldn't be something that you have to force in. And when I get to there, I just get it kind of snug. Not tight at all, not like keep it in place tight. And then I screw that up until I can feel tension on it. And then should just take a couple and I'll free it up. And boom, bada bing, the crank comes off. Easy peasy. Take this guy out. To the side. Now I could have left, there's like the center part, this part right here. I could have, when I pulled it out of here, I could have left it out and it might have taken up some of the slack, but I don't want to accidentally run into a clearance issue when you're putting this into a crank, because sometimes these crank arms will do weird things. As far as you think it's going to do this and it does that. Hand tight. Just a little setting. And pull the crank. Boom, and off it comes, just like that. If you got the right tools, taking stuff apart's pretty easy. Okay, now on to the other stuff. Okay. Now the next thing I'm going to do is I'm just going to clean the bike. I normally would take this chain off, but because this doesn't have a removable chain link on it, it's just, it was a pin that reattached it to it. I'm not going to mess with it. These are single speeds and they have they need to have a lot of strength, especially this guy because he's doing skids and stuff like that. So I'm just going to clean the chain on the frame, otherwise I take it off. It makes it just easier to clean the frame. I am going to check the headset by just popping off the bars, pulling everything apart, looking at it, just visually inspecting it, seeing if it needs to be addressed, if there's anything in there. It feels smooth to me, but at the very least I'll throw some new grease on there if everything looks good to me, and then put it back together. But after I pull this off, I'm going to take the whole bike into the bathroom and put it in my bathtub and scrub it in there, just because I don't have a wash station yet. I want to put a wash station out on my balcony, but maybe in the summer. I don't know. Anyhow, so I'm going to get to doing that. Okay. First thing I'm going to do is get my all-purpose try. And loosen you up. And loosen you up completely. Top cap off. Placed with the rest of his parts. I know my bench is super dirty right now because I'm got several different projects that are going on and I haven't cleaned it up. So I am putting all of his stuff in one location, and that's on the ground below the bike. And I usually follow it all through with a finger so I can just look at it and keep it together in the order that it was. Dirty. So looks like a simple assembly. I'll just give it a wipe down and then re-lube it and reassemble it. But I'm gonna go wash the frame first. Ew. It's like so greasy. Oh yeah, before I take, I'm gonna wipe this cup out, man. It's just full of just the nastiest grease. That's another feature I like on my bike stand, is being able to rotate the frame into a different position so I can see it better and I don't have to scrunch over and stand like an ape next to the bike. I can clean it out standing up. Cool, that's the heavy grease out of there. Sweet. Now the bike goes to the bathtub, gets a bath. Okay, so one of the other important things I do on these tune-ups is I put it in my ultrasonic. So like these bearings that came out that are super messy that I'm gonna re-lube, the chain ring and both cranks, they all go into my ultrasonic, which goes out onto my balcony. Pardon any plumber's crack, bro. It's just part of what I do, man. And I'm going to turn the heat on so it will come up to the temperature I want, which is about 45 degrees Celsius, or yeah, Celsius. And I'm going to set the time, and it starts off with a default 5-minute on mine, and I found that if I back it up, it'll go straight to 30 past 0. Like if I get to 0 and then go back one more, it puts it at 30. So I always do that. And don't forget the lid. And then that does that for, you know, a half hour, maybe an hour, while I wash the rest of the frame. Yeah, so now this stuff is in the tub. I'm just going to kind of show you how I kind of pre-wash it down and get it cleaned up a little bit quicker. And I have one of these pressure yard sprayers that I've mixed up with cleaning solution, and it helps me pre-wash all these bikes and get the nasty stuff off them real easy. I don't know about you, I love that noise. Okay, so what I'm doing is I'm just kind of wetting down the entire bike with a cleaning solution. After I get done wetting the bike down with the cleaning solution, I'm going to let it sit for a little bit. And then I'm going to come and do it again. And I'll probably do that 2 or 3 times. And then on probably the 3rd time, what I'll do is I will come back with a brush, and it'll be one of these brushes. Got these cool brushes that really work really well for this stuff. And yeah, I know my shower and bathtub are disgusting, but that's what happens when you're single and you wash bikes for a living and work on bikes in your house for a living. Anyhow, one side, good. Put a little pressure in the bad boy. And then flip it over. Rub it down. And of course, works the same thing on the opposite side. Now all this does is just start some material breaking loose. It just gets it convinced that it wants to come off. Softens it up, makes it much easier so that when I go at it with a brush, it just comes off quickly. I don't have to spend a bunch of time doing it. And boom, like that, probably like 3 minutes, 4 minutes. I've prepped the bike. I'm gonna do this 2 more times, and then I'll show you how I scrub it and wash it off. All right, so this is the final spray down. It will be followed up by a brushing, a quick brushing, and then I actually turn the shower on and get down with the shower. And I know a lot of this material looks like it's not being removed, but it is actually removing quite a bit of material that's going to make this much easier to clean up once I put it back in the shop and get at it with rags and cleaning solutions of different sorts. Got my chance to taste the material is obviously like kind of pepper mud and all that other stuff. So this also has like kind of long water bottle slash block holder, and I don't want to aggravate it too much. And but also stickers, so it's got stickers all over it. So I'm trying to remove stickers from here. Get them off. Big bunch of these. Big chunks of road material where we go down there, lay down that oil and grease and stuff on the road. Well, you might think that this might end up causing harm. What I'm doing, like it'll make it rust, but the truth is all of these parts are going to be hand dried and air blown dried here in the very near future. Like they are not going to stay wet for very long. And this is where the fun part comes in. Woohoo! Okay, it'd be extra funny if I get hurt. And that's why I do it in the shower. And all of you should do it in the shower. Makes it easier to stay clean and not get dirty from the dirty shit that's happening in there. Now, crazy, huh? But that's about all she takes. And from there, we just kind of dry it, like really quick dry it off with towels, move it over into the shop, and air blow it with the air compressor. I'll catch you there. All right, now, as I said, I'm gonna hit it with just a towel real quick. Take the majority of the moisture off of the bike. Trying to avoid peeling off the stupid stickers that are all over this stupid bike. No, it's a cool bike covered in stupid stickers. Some of the stickers are cool, but you know, there's a point in how many stickers you should put on your bike. And of course, I do all the flossing I can along the way. And what I'm doing is I'm just drying it off, getting the majority of the moisture off of the frame. The majority of the moisture off of the fork. Because there's going to be a lot more attention paid to them. Oh yeah, way nice. You're going to be stoked, Alan. You're going to dig this. Almost like a magic trick, bro. Yeah, those are going to clean up good. Cool. And once I get the majority of the moisture just off, I get the rest of the moisture off with my air compressor. You would not believe how much moisture is still hiding in there. Like, this thing pushes it out and it comes out. You definitely would not want to shower with your bike unless you had an air compressor. And flip it to the beat. Okay, the last thing I go through is the chain. What I did not want to do the chain was take it apart because it has a pin instead of a quick link. And the chain's good enough that I don't think that I need to mess with it. I don't think I need to like take it apart and put another one on or anything like that. I think it's in good shape, that just a quick cleaning and a re-lube, it should be good to go. And with that, I believe this frame's ready to rebuild. Let's do it. All right. Now that the frame is dried out and ready for reassembly, we are going to reassemble the headset. And this should be actually really very easy. When I pull them off in the order that they were on. So I know it's just a reminder of exactly what needs to go on where and when. I am getting my greasing of water, marine bearing grease is what I use, because the very first thing that needs to come off is the bottom bracket, or the bottom headset bearing. And I'm going to clip the zip tie to get rid of those. And grab the that'll work. And down you go. Now the idea was just to get enough grease on there to kind of prime that surface and get it ready to go I'm going to actually overload these bearings with grease so that when they restack, it makes quite a difference that they are fully packed. I love these grease guns. These things work so good. Okay, that's the top one. I'm just going to stack it in, smash it, kind of blend that grease concoction together. Then on, or for, should I say, the bottom of the headset. Just lay a bead in there. And that's just because knowing we've got the headset coming together with a set of bearings that are sort of packed up with grease right now. And in goes that. On this headset there were several little rubber wipes. And we want to put everything back in the same order that it came off. Sweet. All right, there it is. And top it off with the stem cap. Now that stem cap gives us the ability to actually preload these bearings, which I will recheck once the bike is on the ground just to make sure that there's no flex in the preload on the bearings. But until then, I'm going to go with my best guess and the best feeling. And I'm going to line up the bars to the best of my ability and tighten the stem up just a bit. Now, this doesn't have to be my final torque settings. It's just hold stuff in place, knowing that things may get adjusted down the road. Sweet. Headset back in place. Good to go. Okay, the next part we're going to do is put the bottom bracket and the cranks back on. Actually pretty easy and quite quick. And now to find my favorite tool to put load on those bearings, which is my park tool with the ratchet head. Got to switch the ratchet head direction. There we go. Now I'm doing it by monkey tight, just like I know how tight to do it. But if you didn't know the feeling of what it's like to tighten up square taper cranks, it's 45 newtons of torque, which is equivalent of that right there. Beautiful. Sweet. Well, our bracket's done. Let's put the wheels back on. So when I'm tightening up a skewer, I quite often will tighten it up with the skewer in the closed position. And I do that so that I can feel when it's getting close. And I don't want to over tighten it. I mean, most of these, you know, have way more clamping prowess than we really need. Sweet, good to go. Okay. Now for the chain and the rear tire. And Alan rides it Fixie. So I'm going to reinstall the rear as Fixie. Sweet. And yet again, where the coolest tool in the world comes into play. It's a 15. So what I do is I set the chain side bolt just barely. I just give it some weight, and then I go to the opposite side bolt, get it where it's ready to actually tighten up, and then I use the rim as leverage to get the right tension to center the chain by pushing it back the other way. And it takes a couple tries sometimes. It's not always instant. Actually, most of the time it is instant. Oh, yeah. Sorry. I didn't make sure that the chain was completely setted on the primary sprocket before I started doing this. You cannot do this unless you are seated on the primary sprocket. All right. Next time. Okay. This time I'm going to use a different method. One that I used on my BMX bikes back in the day. They were all Bendix brakey. Kind of tighten them up. Swapped out to one side, shove them back to the other side to try to gain tension in the chain. Nice, that'll work. All right. Okay, for all intents and purposes, this bike is done. But I'm still going to clean it and like completely put the rest of the stuff on here and make it look good. So let's do that. Huh? Huh? Yeah? I don't know. All right then. That's what I thought, Dan. Oh, dude, you're crazy. You had it in the right place and the first time. Always trust yourself. Unless you're wrong. And then trust someone else. Because they're probably right. Wait. Okay, they say you're supposed to have about 50 pounds of torque on your pedals, which is about that much. Nice. Sweet. Yep. That one's done. Okay, Alan. Okay, that's it for Alan's bike. It is completely reassembled. I love it. It turned out really great, and it didn't take that long. So I hope you dig it, Alan. If you don't, let me know. You know how I am about my work. Anyhow, I love you guys. Hope to see you again. Rock and roll.